So example 3 is a little weak in terms of actually explaining anything because they give you a really easy example. All you basically had to do was throw a negative on an x, didn't have to do anything. So I thought what we would do instead, or sort of as an addition, is just go over this extra part where there's a question called Check Understanding on page 182 in the left-hand column. And they gave us this equation, y equals 1 over negative 2x squared minus 0.5. They want it to be flipped in the x-axis, and this is the image graph. So once again, this being the image, that means that the change has already been made. This is not this. So this is going to give us a little bit of difficulty with putting into the graphing calculator because we've got a complicated denominator, so make sure you put that in your brackets. And what they want us to do is come up with a new formula for it. So we're going to go through the same steps that we would with the other one. The first thing I want to do is recognize that this is a flip in the x-axis, so it's reflected over the x-axis. And when I look at my sheet, if it says flipped over the x-axis, it tells me that it's negative f of x. So that means my y values have changed, my x values have stayed the same. So if I wanted to draw that in, x values stay the same, y value flips. Sorry, that's not a perfect line. So this point would then be 0 and negative 2. X is the same, y changed. So what we want is the equation of this line, because this one, that's this guy here. And the way that we're going to get that is simply by recognizing that for a horizontal flip, a flip over the x-axis, y is going to equal negative f of x. So the negative is on the outside, which means I'm going to go y equals negative all of this stuff. Now you could leave it like this. Your calculator will do it correctly for you if you make it negative and then bracket 1 over bracket negative 2, all this stuff, bracket, bracket, bracket. But your book isn't going to have the answers like that. They're going to want it simplified. So we're going to multiply this negative as if it's a negative 1 through all of these numbers. And you don't do it to the top and the bottom because that would be negative 1 over negative 1, which would just be 1. So we're actually only going to do the one level. And the easiest way to do that is just the bottom part here. So I'm just going to make it y equals 1 over and flip the signs. Negative times negative is a positive. Negative times negative is a positive. So you should be able to plug that in your calculator, remembering to put brackets around the denominator, and get that image.